Just to be very, very clear, it was Cash's fault.
It really was. It really was. I'm not even going to try to hide it. It was me. I was trying to do a good deed today and make dinner for my family because, Champagne wasn't feeling too well. Well,
Did Champagne, was she feeling a little bubbly?
you know what? Let me just not even lie. I'm pissed off. I had to cook dinner today. It's one of them days. Just like that.
You're mad you had to cook dinner?
No. No.
What are you mad about?
Get on with the show.
All right. Yeah, I mean, if cooking dinner was at least Emily.
I like cooking. That's not the problem. It's the reason.
I get it. You're a princess. You need the woman to do everything for you. This is why there's never going to be a broken glass ceiling, because you think women are beneath men, Cash.
Hey, I'm not going to argue with that.
Emily, I don't know how many relationships you've been in, but you're a horse girl, so I have to ask the question: is it against the rules for horse women in a relationship to cook meals?
Kelly watching this?
Do you know how many dinners? Do you know how many meals Kelly has cooked for us in the 4 years we've been dating?
I'm going to plead the fifth. I'm just not going to try and guess.
It's two. No, one.
I was going to say less than 5.
No, it's one. It's one. But I am so happy because I went for a run. This is where I'm gonna end my rant. So I went for a jog in the 104-degree heat because I like that. I'm still overheating, so today might have been a little too hot. I was gone for 35 minutes. When I got home, Kelly had completed. This is why I'm going to sound like a misogynist. This is why women are meant to clean. I was gone for 35 minutes. She had a 15-minute phone call. I got back. Dishes were done. And she had folded all of her clothes and at least set my clothes in a proper pile. She got more done in that 35 minutes than a man that I would get done in like 2 days.
There's something therapeutic about the whole, I'll do that. You get a phone call, you wash the dishes. I like to cook. I only cook my meals. I go out to eat with friends. Like last week when I went out to eat with friends, I made my meal here before I went out because Texas food, I'm sorry, it's not awesome a lot of the time. I just can't do the bourbon brisket enchilada top. I'm like, I'm not eating that. I can't do it. So I cook at home every day. Rarely eat out unless I need some Mexican food. So
real quick, just because nobody cares about Stephenville, but I do. What restaurants?
No, bro, you're not gonna do that right now. I had a funny joke since we were talking about women and cooking.
Oh, go ahead, finish up.
Okay, all right. You're not sensitive,
Your joke's
right,
just
Emily?
as late as you were in the show. Go ahead.
What's the difference between Iron Man and Iron Woman?
Cast iron skillet? I don't know.
One is a superhero, and the other is just a simple command.
Iron Woman. All right, that's good. That's real good. You would not fit in at the DNC because it is woman power. So that's honestly, if you guys wonder what we're going to talk about today, that's pretty much it, the DNC. But I've got, in all little RFK stuff, real quick, Cash, how much of the DNC did you watch last night?
None.
Good for you.
I was watching the outside. There's nothing going on yet. I'm supposed to be going live after this. Hopefully, I got to cut Caden's hair. He's on his way over here. But I got some people about to be going out there because they say tonight it's supposed to go down. So
Obama's up tonight, right? Obama and Bill Clinton.
No, Obama is tonight. Bill is tomorrow, from what I understand.
Okay.
Which I don't know how Bill got that. I don't know how Bill got the prime spot ahead of Obama. But I mean, last night was.
Do you know what Bill Clinton says when he wants to have sex?
Don't know.
What he says to Hillary when he wants to have sex. I'll be back in an hour.
It's good. It's real good. Can you picture them? No. Anyways,
Hillary used to be really pretty. Just saying. I don't know what happened, but she used to be real pretty.
Hillary, when she was real young, she looked like she had this she always looked ultra liberal. I can't properly explain it. So anyways, before we get really into it, because we'll get into the DNC and we'll talk. So Cash will be our coordinator outside because he's been following it. We've gotten a lot of information from our good friend that is works for the Chicago Police Department. The media not reporting it at all, which is a complete like glitch in the matrix to have the left protesting against the left. But they're saying there's 1,000 protesters. From what I understand, there's about 100,000 that have been set up. But anyways, all right. So if you go to GPT, so Kelly saw this earlier and she looked it up herself, and I said there's a reason. Turns out I was wrong too. So who shot? So she put in who shot Donald Trump. Basic command. As of my knowledge, that is cut off in August of 2023, Donald Trump, the 45th president of the United States, had not been shot. If you're referring to a recent event or fictional context, I would need to verify that through a real-time source. Let me know if you'd like to check for any updates. Weird.
Sounds about right.
Weird.
What's that?
Sounds about right.
But I've heard the same thing, that ChatGPT is not updated through this year. Like I've heard that it was like it's all self-updating, but it's not about the news. I heard media is not the same, and I've had some questions and it won't answer them. So I go, because I've said what's top media for the day. Didn't answer. But so when I said that to Kelly, she's like, well, what if I look up, will Kamala Harris be president? As of now, Kamala Harris is the vice president of the United States of America. Whether she'll be president depends on various factors, such as future elections or unforeseen circumstances during the current presidency. While Harris has a strong position for vice president, she could run for president in the future. If you're asking for specific developments, she'll check the latest news. So then Kelly goes, is Kamala Harris the presidential candidate? Kamala Harris is, I thought it does an update. Kamala Harris is the 2024 Democratic presidential nominee. She officially announced her candidacy in July 2024 after President Joe Biden withdrew from the race and endorsed her. Harris quickly secured the Democrat nomination, marking a historic moment. She became the first woman of color to be nominated by a major political party. She selected Minnesota Governor Tim Walz for a running mate. That's a lot of information that's very recent. So then I said, well, maybe try something different. Who is the 2024 Republican presidential candidate? As of now, the leading candidate for the Republican Party for the 2024 U.S. presidential election is Donald Trump, the former president. He officially announced his candidacy in November of 2022 and remains the frontrunner of the GOP nomination. Even better, when she asked who is the vice president, it actually named J.D. Vance as the vice president. So it will not admit that Donald Trump is the candidate for the Republican Party. That's on ChatGPT. I find that interesting.
I don't find it interesting at all. I already done talk, bro. I said this in 2020. Defund the media. All right. That is a liberal. All of them are liberals. Thank God for Elon and pill.net for getting out underneath the thumb of the people that the Talmudist. Say that. The Talmudist ran media.
Every news media story I hear, I have the same phrase that I always say: disappointed but not surprised. It's like none of it surprises me at this point. It's just like it's par for the course. It's like, I mean, Google. I can't even use Google anymore. It's like completely everything's skewed. I Google something and I know I'm not going to get the right answer. Right. I mean, it's just crazy. And my parents, they worked in the tech industry since the 70s. I mean, they're technical writers for high software companies. And they're just like blown away with the manipulation of the algorithms. It's completely overrun. It's worse than Russia or China. I mean, really, it's like, yeah.
Right on that level.
Did you guys hear about that? About Russia?
Oh, announcing visas for everybody?
Putin said if you want to leave and get away from the wacky liberal ideas of the West, then come on over to Russia. We will give you temporary citizenship.
No shit.
You know what? This is what they already had been doing. They already had been doing any foreigner that stayed in Russia during the outbreak of the war was granted automatic citizenship. So my friend that was from Germany and he stayed because they consider you a true patriot if you stayed in Russia through everything that went on. They're granted fast track, full citizenship, no strings attached. So now they're expanding that. I think the quote was, anybody who wants to get away from the neoliberal ideas in the West, you have a safe spot here. So
that's what it was.
All right, well, guys.
What kind of bizarre world is this, though? When Russia is offering,
nutso.
when Russia is the place for freedom, Russia is saying if you want to get away from communism and the liberal ideas, come to Russia.
I know. As we say in Russian, I had my Russian lesson today. Davai. It means let's go. Davai. I mean, it's like.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm sorry, Putin. Thank you, but no, thank you. I'd rather stay and fight for my own country. We're not like the Venezuelans and Nicaraguans and El Salvadorians. We're gonna fight for our country.
Real talk, Cash. If we go full blue, I'm
not leaving.
I consider Russia. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, this comment's gonna be.
You're a traitor to your country.
If it goes Kamala and then blue in the House
you're no
and in the
different
Senate,
than the immigrants coming over here. Then you're going to seek asylum. You're no different than the people you complain about.
But they gave me because they gave me permission.
So what?
I have this debate with my friend from Germany because he's, he left because he can't stand what's happened to his country. And, and he said, he's very pessimistic. He's 35. So he's maybe wiser. I'm maybe naive because I'm 26. But I said, I can't leave my country. I can't just bail out because if all the good people leave, who's going to stay and fight?
Exactly.
And I'm like, kind of abandon your country. I mean,
exactly.
You're struggling. He's like, well, I can't do anything. I'm like,
I'd rather be put in
stay and fight. I'm like,
I'm 27% Russian. I'm just throwing.
Oh God, you're Russian, you're Italian, you're Jewish, you're all of it.
No, my Jewish side is Russian, Polish. I think is what I don't know.
Then you're not Jewish.
According to Jews, I'm full of Jewish. Anyways, Cash, can you tell everybody to like the video, share the video, do all things with the video?
Hey everybody, like the video and share the video, please. I would appreciate it. Even if you don't like the video, at least share the video. And don't forget to subscribe. That's the main thing. Subscribe and share this to somebody who ain't never heard of us before. That's what I'm asking you to do. Share this to somebody who you're like, you know what? They need to see this. They need to see these guys and this beautiful lady. And they need to subscribe. So come on, do that for me right now, please. It takes 1 second. Just boop. That's it. Do it, Russo.
Boop. And boop. Boop. And if anybody's wondering where Casey is no longer on the show. Emily is fully replacing Casey.
Casey got fired, you guys. We had a falling out. We're not going to talk about the details online, but we had a whole falling out. So Casey has been voted off of the island. Everybody in the chat put F Casey. F Casey in the chat.
Casey I think is traveling right now. He's not. He's still angry about the fact we did not give the full respect to Elon Musk and Donald Trump's interview.
Super salty.
No, I don't know where he is. I forgot that he was traveling this week, so he's out. He'll be back
he's in Yellowstone.
Is that where he's at?
Yeah, he's out there hanging out with Kevin Costner and Beth and Rip.
Did they have that show in prison? How do you know anything about that?
Oh, bro, I binge watched it in prison.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't change the TV. I went and sat by the white guy's TV, and I sat right on the edge where it's like blacks can sit right here, and this is the white side. I sat real close to the white side, but still on the black side, just so I could watch Yellowstone. Because all the brothers like, man, take that shit off TV, man. We ain't watching that shit. Nigga, put that shit off, man. I'm like, all right, I understand. But then over there on their TV, I couldn't watch it because it's always fucking, fucking loving hip hop and sports and regular shit.
Meanwhile, you staged your own little Blexit so you could watch Yellowstone.
I sat literally, the white guys loved me in there. They were cool as hell. They weren't racist. You know what I'm saying? The white guys in there, even though they used to be part of prison gangs or whatever. Because remember, when I got transferred around, the last stop that I made, I was at the drop yard. So I was with all the people that left their gangs. So it was great because the white guys in there were like, trying to redeem themselves. Like, we're not racist, man. I love black people. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh, you're good, bro. Don't trip. Hey, man, what'd you do to get that big? They didn't really talk like that, but that's my like prison white guy voice. You know what I'm saying? What'd you do to get that big there, man? You're big as hell, man. Oh, man, I just work out a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Jesus. Anyways, so we can check off all the racist boxes on the show. So, Emily, if anybody wasn't watching last week, give a quick introduction. I know we're 15 minutes into the show, and people that have watched in the past probably like, there is a random girl in the upper corner. Actually, let's go ahead and put you. Let's put you in the. Hold on, switching it up. Why is it not working? Why is it not moving?
Don't know.
No, it's just there. We go. All right, Emily, introduce yourself.
So, hello, I am Emily Mangione. I live in Texas, Stephenville, Texas. I am 26 years old, I guess a world traveler at this point, part-time barrel racer, full-time world traveler, spent the last 2 years just going to 34 countries. I love politics, about to start my 3rd degree, Master's of Political Science, and I'm very happy to be here.
Nice. I did not know that political science was also like karate. You got your 3rd degree black belt in political science.
Just racking them up. Yep. Doing what I can.
Racking them up. We're not going to be going into last week we did the tour around the world. I actually forgot I was on radio and they're like, "What's on the show last week?" And I was like, I don't remember what we. Oh, I had Emily on the show last week. We talked to a Pakistani that was adopted by Italians that traveled the world. So that's how I would.
She's an American. Look at
American.
that hat.
Yes.
Look at that hat. She's an American through and through, and she's a cowgirl.
Yeehaw.
Amen.
So Cash did not watch much of last night, which makes him therefore a much happier person than you and I, Emily, because what that was disgusting. Did you see any clips of it, Cash?
Oh yeah, I watched a bunch of clips, but I just was like, well, who wants to watch this?
I'm mad at Anthony.
What's her name? Corey Bush? Corey Crockett? What's her name? Crockett? Betty Crocker? What's her name?
Crockett. Now Bush didn't speak, but the Crockett, the one with the long eyelashes that got in the fight.
Yeah, man. I was like, I was trolling people on X actually because there's one liberal guy he put up A Star Was Born last night with her video on there, and I just went in the comment section like I just put a whole bunch of laughing faces, and I put caption, "This bitch." Probably wrong. I probably shouldn't have did that, but I did.
What happened to that unity messaging, Cash?
It is unity, but I was trolling. I was just trolling. It's it's okay when you're trolling. If he would have got mad about it, I'd be like, my bad, my brother. I was just being funny, But it's comedy.
Emily, why are you mad at me?
I'm mad at you for making me watch the whole speeches from the DNC. I tried to just do the clips last night, watching the highlights. That was enough. Had to shut it off. Sat through at the gym and watched Biden's entire speech. I am usually very quiet when I watch videos. I'll have, I'm not the type to make reactions. I couldn't hold it in. I'm like laughing. I'm rolling my eyes. I felt physically ill during it. And then I watched Hillary's. I watched AOC's. I watched she's the one that's kind of ghetto what's she called Marjorie Taylor Greene, like
that's butch body bitch.
There was bleached hair,
right?
badly built, bleached hair, butch, bitch, something.
Yeah.
I've watched that video too many times.
Baby girl. That was AOC.
Baby girl.
AOC did a fantastic job last night. Shout out to AOC. Except for at the end when she got that weird. I don't know what happened at the end there, but she got weird, like her accent changed. And I'm like, that's not a Chicago. I know she wasn't trying to do a Chicago accent. That's not
her accent changes all the time.
She was fired up though. I said, you go, girl. I'm gonna go ahead then, AOC. I was cheering for her when I watched her clip. I'm like, yeah.
The Republicans say they want me to go back to the bar and be a bartender. Well, you know what? I will work for a living. Shut the fuck up. Anyways. Sorry,
the women that built this bitch. I'm like, go ahead then.
Look at her eyes. At the end, like this. She's like
demon faced and everything. She it was so crazy. It's crazy.
Like, isn't the Democrat Party? I remember when I was younger and they used to do the electoral map and they would look at the intelligence levels of Republican, but IQ, education levels, and it was so much higher on the Democrat side. And now it is like hood fest. Make up an accent, and then what was the Warnock? Pretty much any if you were black and you were speaking last night, you had to make it sound like a spiritual, like a hymnal, and we when we're rising up in this group, and I'm like, what the fuck? This is a fucking Baptist church? Like when you have nothing to talk about, and I hate to say that about the hardcore Baptist churches, but it's like, when you don't want to talk about the word of God, or when you don't want to talk about the word of, in this case, your platform, you got to build it up with big, Kamala Harris word salads. Like, when we take the look at what is happening in said country because of what across the aisle and those people and what we've got, the fuck, there was not a single thing said in this sentence. And that's what they were doing last night. And if people really want to objectively watch the difference between the DNC and the RNC, especially on night one, their show was off kilter. It went long. They cut speakers. They were disorganized. I heard they cut. I was watching. I didn't see James Taylor. James Taylor got cut. They were unorganized. And then now this is where I want to start the conversation about last night is with Joe Biden, the current sitting president of the country, and I'm sure, Cash, you saw clips. The first question I have to ask is, do you think that it was strategic that they made sure that he would be speaking that late at night?
No, who you talking about, Biden?
Yeah.
I mean, hey, I'm just gonna say that motherfucker was juiced up last night because he was angry speaking. He was
for almost
like
an hour.
You know, when I was the president of the United States, I was telling these motherfuckers that fuck you, Trump. I'm like, yo, he is mad. He's mad. He stumbled a little bit, but actually, that was probably one of his better runs. He was like, he was.
I
coherent.
agree.
He was coherent. Like, if he would have talked like that a little bit during, his time as president, people wouldn't have been, they wouldn't have been on him. But no, I don't think that was a play. I mean, they were packed. They were packed in that fucking place, bro. They were.
Yeah, and I want to call out the Republican idiots that are spreading the because we take the bait and they're showing how empty it was. That was at like 3:00 in the afternoon. It was. I mean, it was.
Yeah, they were jam packed in there.
It was a sold out arena last night.
Yeah,
no doubt.
It was packed. It was packed. That's all I'm gonna say.
But
Joe did a decent job other than his lies. Like, he was doubling down on shit that had already been debunked.
Oh, big time. And we'll get into that in a second.
Very fine people. They keep bringing that up in the Project 2025. It's their go-tos that have been thoroughly debunked. But
they put that on Trump Tower. Did you guys see that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, shit. They ain't playing
There
around
was.
on
I mean, what's his face? Steven Crowder did a really good job earlier today. They went through the 9 biggest lies or 10 biggest lies during his speech, and we'll get into some of those in a second. But I think they strategically they were like, we're going to make him go late and we're going to get him off. And you're right. He came out there guns blazing, high as a kite. I mean, that was not a Joe Biden that we have seen in years. Well, honestly, that's not a Joe Biden we've ever seen. I think he said even when he was yelling at that one where he had the Nazi colors behind him, but the media didn't really cover it. The fact that it was clearly fascist. But like, this was he yelled for 45 minutes straight. Yeah. And he even they even said, I was watching CNN. He ad-libbed a couple things that were not as a part because they had a copy of the speech. That line he said, and now he's like, I was too young when I started, and now I'm too old to be president. That was not in the script.
He did I ain't gonna lie, he did a good job, dog. He did a great job speaking.
Funny points. I mean, when he said the whole thing about Kamala Harris was my VP, she's going to make a great president because the best presidents were also vice presidents. He does the smile. I was like, good line, funny. Yeah. He ended the speech well. That whole thing about quoting the song American Anthem.
Yeah.
Something about I gave my best to you. I was kind of like, I mean, I guess he did give his best, Yeah.
I mean, I ain't mad at him. I'm not mad at him for that speech. I'm glad. Look, I'm gonna say this. Even though he shit on the country through his presidency, I'm not mad at him for stepping aside. He did the right thing. He finally did something that was right. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna knock him on that one. I hope he lives out, the rest of his life, as best as he could. And
Emily, ask that question to Cash again.
Do you think he stepped aside willingly? Because none of it seems like it was willing.
No, I don't think he did it willingly, but he did it. He didn't try to fight it.
That is true.
Yeah, and it actually is it's better for us because now all you could see with people. So inside the building, you had a whole bunch of people that aren't from Chicago. You had a couple people that are politicians that were there inside the building, but majority of the people that were there inside that building were from the surrounding areas of Chicago, which is like the suburbs. It was not people from Chicago. All the people on the outside, all of them people that was talked to, you can go look at countless videos. They're like, man, fuck Kamala. We ain't voting for her. We voting for Trump. All black people, regular Chicago
people. It did not
people.
go well for them outside the arena when they were trying
straight up.
Yeah.
Straight up. Everybody say, nah, we voting for Trump. We voting for Trump. And then I found last night on my stream that I was doing, there was these people out there reporting and talking with people. There was this, I think she was Palestinian, a Palestinian lady they interviewed. Fantastic interview. And I found myself agreeing with her about everything that she was, almost everything that she was saying. And she's like, I'm not voting for Kamala. I'm not. And nobody should vote for Kamala because they are for destruction. They're going to ruin this country. We need to take care of our own problems. And she's a Palestinian American. She's like, we need to stay out of other people's business. They're over there and America's been going all over the world trying to involve themselves in other people's problems. I'm like, yo, I agree. What she's saying is real. And then she was calling out the BS with the Israeli soldiers that are over there doing some fucked up shit. Regardless if you want to stand with Israel or not, there's a bunch of shit that's out there now. Videos of people getting beat while they're walking with their kids, all types of crazy shit. And I'm like, this is foul. And she was bringing a lot of stuff to attention about this bipartisan bill that they put, or no, it was, it's a House resolution that they brought out that is fucked up. It's just a fucked up bill. So I want to look into it a little bit more. I got to go back in the video. But yeah, man, you guys go check that out if you didn't watch it. Oh, and we have an interruption. Yes.
Is that your kiddo? Caden?
No, it's Nova.
Oh, Nova's in the building. AKA Supernova. Nova, come say hi.
Come on.
To answer your question, also, Emily, he clearly did not want to leave, which boggles my mind. It shows how out of it he is. Nova, what up? How's it going?
Say hi.
Hi. Hello.
She's shy. She made me put her on the mermaid. She had to put on a Little Mermaid dress because we were watching The Little Mermaid earlier. So she's wearing a Little Mermaid gown.
Luca still, which she will do the theme dress. She's 8, and she will still do the theme dress. So sticks around. You've got 37 kids. It's gonna stick around.
Pardon me. I gotta get.
Okay. All right. So we'll leave Cash's screen him because he's got a cool background. And he didn't watch all the things, so we'll talk. So when it came to the speech, the other portion, besides the lies and how hopped up and hyped up he was and how late it was, I think that they thought they were setting him up for failure. That's why I asked the question. I think they thought they were setting him up to be like, this is why we moved on. Instead, we saw probably, even though there was still plenty of Joe Biden thumbers, it was still one of his best.
Yeah.
And I think that, and they said that his speech was the target of it was to build up Kamala Harris and Walz. Instead, he pretty much said, this is why my presidency was the best. Disagree. And then it was all, and then it was all false information about Donald Trump.
Yeah.
I don't think he did what they wanted him to do. And if you watched Kamala Harris and Walz throughout,
Kamala didn't look happy. And she would do kind of the little smile and nod along. And he kind of kept throwing in. He'd talk about himself and his presidency, and he'd be like, oh, and Kamala. He would kind of like last minute maybe throw her in a couple times. But it was really, it was like a Trump, hating on Trump was the main thing of the speech. I saw this, it was on X. I think Trump shared it, and it was like, Donald Trump was mentioned 147 times. The economy was mentioned 27 times. The border was mentioned 6 or 8 times. I mean, it's like all they're doing is talking about Trump and we're saving democracy. We're saving democracy. That's all they can say. That's all.
What else can they talk about? What else do you have to talk about other than vote for me because you don't like Trump? We don't like Trump. Vote for me. She had an idea. She didn't give out no policies. Still to this day, she ain't gave out no policies. She talked about ideas that she had that I like, one of the ideas, which was I liked it. But other than that, it's just an idea. You're not talking about any legislation that you're going to try to push forward, and you're not even pushing nothing now. Like all the things that you say you want to do, you can do literally right now.
On day one, I will. It's date 1082.
How dare you call a black woman a bitch? I got to say that.
Valid. Thank you for correcting me. I'm wrong.
It's okay. No, it's all right. It's fine.
The other thing I realized about putting Biden out night one, and everybody's watching. Everybody's watching. So like everybody wanted, because both sides are watching to see if Biden screws up. So he is. I think he'll have more views on his speech than anybody but Kamala. More than Bill. More than maybe Obama. We'll see. But I think the key was they know that with Joe Biden being a complete lame duck president, the fact that he's admitting that he's essentially too old to be president, that's a weird thing to say with 5 months left in your presidency. There's some concerns there, but I think that they know that Biden will not, because he doesn't have to run for re-election anymore, he can say 10 incredibly incorrect, false statements with no repercussions, and it will be continued to be parroted and shared by idiots online, even people like I consider a friend like Carl Covington and other people that will still use the neo-Nazis line and all these. They'll continue to use it because now they heard Joe say it and he's got no repercussions. So he did the one thing he did do that the Democrat Party wanted him to do was parrot those same lies over and over and over and hammered them and yelled them in last night. He did that successfully.
Do you want to know a secret?
Yes.
They about to impeach that motherfucker.
They what? Say it again.
They're about to impeach that.
You think so?
Yes.
On what? Because I've, the oversight committee is talking about all the violations for finance and
that's
and
why.
internet.
That's why.
So now they've set it up where they can ease him out. She becomes and again, I'm just playing.
Runs an incumbent.
Yeah, she becomes an incumbent, which makes it a little bit easier to win. I don't know. It's completely plausible. Completely plausible.
That's their game plan. They need every leg up that they could get, bro. They're pulling all the stops, and it ain't gonna be. Believe me, if it's anybody that's in there that's MAGA, they not gonna. I hope they don't try to impeach me. I feel like that'd be stupid right now. I feel like just let it all just play out right now as it is. It doesn't matter if you impeach them.
Stuff like that, it's like the Republican Party. I've heard. I can't remember who quoted it. We need to be acting like we're 10 points behind right now. I mean, we need to get ahead of this because it's hard to tell. It's like, are the polls bullshit? Are they not? I feel like they are, but I mean, we can't just rely on, we're tied. I mean,
I think the polls are bullshit, but I don't think Trump is helping his cause right now. He needs to lay off the identity politics, the crowds, like let the pundits talk about it looks like the crowd size was inflated, not during the DNC, the crowd size was huge. Trump needs to stick to how bad their policies are and leave the she's an Indian woman alone. Yeah. Leave the, whatever. I mean, the one thing I would say, can somebody bring up the fact that Walz is not a head coach? When they keep calling him coach, he was the defense. You couldn't even be the head coach of a high school football team. You're a defensive coordinator, you fucking weirdo. Like,
does Trump seem a little different
since he got shot?
I don't know if it's since he got shot, but
I think he seems different in the last 2 weeks. Something changed, and I don't love it.
I don't know what's going on either. I just that's why I went and found that old video. I'm like, man, the reel that I shared. I'm like, yeah, this is the Trump that I remember right here. And I don't know what's going on. Like, I don't know.
I think he's like us, and he's angry about the fact, like, is America really buying the stupid bullshit of this fucking idiot they've somehow the least popular VP that couldn't even and they're all of a sudden the people are buying the media. Like, I think that he's angry about it, which is causing him to, like the left is calling him, unhinged. I don't like his tone right now. His tone is dangerous.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't know, man. I feel like you said, it's like a lot of anger. Like he's becoming, when you got that much power, because Trump got a lot of power, bro. A lot of people listen to Trump. You know what I'm saying? And if he ain't careful with, the way he says things, you got some people that are waiting. They're itching for like that shit just to boil over and pop off. Type deal like that. I don't even want to talk about it on there. I don't want to,
Yeah, I got
if you're listening, I'm not calling for anything. I'm trying to avert, not have that happen. So, yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those ones that he had it won, and then he realized that somehow the media was going to pump her up in a way that made it different. And then it's like when you know that you got to go to the bathroom on the highway and you got to, drop a deucer, and you see the exit sign. You're like, sweet. And then you get there and the bathrooms are closed. I feel like it's one of those situations. Like he's like, I got this. I just got to coast out. And then everything changed. And I
just want to see him get elected again, dog, so we could get some tribunals going. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and I mean, and the thing is, everything that he has said, which is a valid point, they're using against him.
These fucking people, they're corrupt, bro. And I feel like that's probably why he's so frustrated, because he's like how are people still after my presidency and seeing what I've accomplished and what I could do for this country, and then see how these motherfuckers did in the election in 2020, and then see how these motherfuckers have done throughout their presidency, and now people are still talking about voting for this nothing ass bitch who ain't did nothing. And like, I don't know, I feel like he's really, really like pissed off, and maybe I feel like he might be a little discouraged.
I feel and honestly, I feel the same way. Like, I wake up in the morning right now and I just want to yell. Like, I we talk about the unity side, but some of the shit that I continue to hear parroted by the leftists that we stay in touch with, I want to grab them by their ears, pull them close to me, and say, "Are you effing R word?" That's what I want to say. Like, that's what I really, really want to say. It's just, it's weird. It's weird that people aren't seeing through this. And it's like, how good have they become at the brainwashing? And it's a little bit terrifying. It's a little bit terrifying. What was I going to bring up? So before we talk about the lies, I saw a comment up top, and this is Emily and I were talking about this, and it's funny. I was jogging because this is not, I mean, it's an addiction. I have a problem. This is all I think about is the fact that our country is going to shit. And by the way, the fact that I might run for office, they'll use this video earlier on when I said that I would leave the United States of America for Russia. They will use this forever.
Oh, you're a Russian asset, obviously.
Yeah,
I am too. I'm pro-Putin.
I am Putin's puppet. But I was thinking,
I'm a red-blooded American. And I would run it just like Trump did, except more thuggish. I'd be smacking the shit out of people in the White House. I'd be smacking the shit out of people in the Capitol. And yeah, they wouldn't like me. They would not. I'm telling you, I would be a bad fit for the job if I ever run.
The international, the geopolitics. Xi Jinping, get over it. Give me that backhand. Oh no,
I'm trying to tell. Like, I'll be carrying a pistol and everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, somebody, Xi Jinping got online. Hold on. Who the fuck you talking to, motherfucker?
Cash, you're not allowed to carry a pistol.
Not now, but, later when I become president, I can pardon myself and then.
Just when I was thinking, we're talking about Trump changing the last couple of weeks. Don't you think there has been some kind of great updates with his campaign? I mean, like bringing Tulsi Gabbard in to help him prep for the debates, bringing Corey Ladowski back, his campaign manager from 2016. I don't know if you guys saw, but the new song that Kodak Black just dropped, like a Trump campaign supporting song. I'm like, the rappers are kind of seem to be coming through for him a little bit, which, I'm happy to see that.
And they're not getting paid for it. Let's also remember that. Like, not unlike the left, they're not getting paid for it.
Yeah.
I keep remembering different false claims. So one of the things, Emily, one of the things that we talked about right as we were about to go on, and it's funny because when I was running, like I'm obsessed with this crap. I'm like, even though I think the polls are garbage, I think Trump is winning by a lot more, but they're setting this up for him to potentially lose, and it bothers me. But at the same time, I go, the only thing that I can see really boosting Trump right now is RFK going, look, I don't have, and he's got to use the words, I don't have a path to the presidency. I want, for the sake of this country, to whatever. And last week, I think he got pushed a little bit because somebody in Kamala's campaign leaked that he was trying to work in her cabinet, which matches none of his speaking points whatsoever. No. And our good friend Dawn asked me, she's like, is this legit? And I was like, no. And he completely said no. And I think that they're just trying to, I don't know what they're trying to do, but needless to say, RFK's VP today made a cryptic statement that is, if we know, it was along the lines of, if we know that we can't win, we will make sure that Trump gets, that Kamala does not enter the White House.
Yes, she said we have at this point two options. We continue forward as a third party and continue what we've been doing. But if we do that, we run the risk of a Harris-Walz presidency. She goes, our second option is to drop out now and fully support Donald Trump. And
it has to happen soon because early voting starts
North Carolina, right? North Carolina's next. No, is it September?
September. It's end of September. It's coming up. I mean, it's within the month. So it's got to be. This is not true yet. No.
Wait, RFK, did he just back Trump?
He might have. You might,
unless it's happened in the last 20 minutes, and I would have gotten that on my
pop up.
Don't you discredit people like that without
I
asking
can
them
just
where they
tell.
heard it
And
from?
by the way, that they're actually having Tulsi help Trump get ready for the debates, which I think is huge because
Yes,
Tulsi
huge.
made mincemeat out of Kamala Harris. Also, as much as I love, and I talk about Crowder a lot because I use him as my information. A couple things. They shared some of the stuff about drunken Kamala, and there's some scenes where it looks like she's drunk. I like to stick to shit that I can prove.
Yeah.
And again, that's not worth it to me to talk about her being drunk. Like, she does so many different things wrong that are proven. Like, why attack? Like, they're gonna use that. It's Kamala she has a little bit of a drinking problem. It's not her fault. So it's like, stay away from that shit. Also, Crowder said nobody was fact checking the debate, and in fact, I said it this morning in my Daily Truth. CNN in the back of their like news page actually has something that gives all the updates of the DNC, and in the middle of it, they actually have fact checks throughout the information, and they actually were accurate fact checks. They called out all the issues, but it just was incredibly hard to find. But they actually did a good job. And last night I stayed up and they corrected a lot of the things that he said wrong and admitted that they were incorrect, including some of the other people that were making the abortion comments, which leads me to my next question. For Emily, if you don't mind me asking this question, because it always seems to be oddly personal, what is your stance on pro-life and pro-choice?
So my stance personally, if I was in that position, I would be pro-life. If I was faced with that decision, pretty much regardless of whatever the circumstances. I mean, part of that for me is I was adopted. So if my birth parents didn't choose, and I was adopted for cultural purposes, cultural reasons. My birth parents were Pakistani. You're not allowed to have children out of wedlock. So, she either had to give me up, but I also don't think Muslims are for abortion. I'm not sure on that. Yeah,
definitely not.
So I'm thankful. The reason I'm here is because my birth mother didn't choose abortion. So in my personal life, I'm pro-life. If we're talking about from a policy standpoint, I'm pro-choice only because I don't believe in vaccine mandates. And I don't like when Republicans kind of go on that thing of like, we're against vaccine mandates. Don't tell us what we can do with our bodies. I'm like, well, then you kind of have to be pro-choice and pro-choice with reasonable limitations, like full term abortion. No, I think it's disgusting and sick. But I'm like, if you're going to do maybe a 4-month, I'm like, I think you kind of have to be pro.
Most people, including the left, think full term abortion is ridiculous. Like, we're talking a fraction of a percent feel like that's okay.
Yeah.
Cash, I think, and you and I share the same sentiment, Emily. And this is, people don't realize in the Republican Party, and this is where we miss, that there is more pro-choice with sensibility in the party than they could ever believe. Trump used the reference that I've used for a year and a half. He used it in one of his speeches talking about Kansas, super red state, 58-42 for pro-choice when they actually got it as a ballot item. If you want to bring it back to the states, I think it is a disservice that the actual leadership in the state doesn't allow it to be a vote in the state. And then even more of a disservice is asshats like Lindsey Graham and some of the old guard Republicans right after it was celebrated that Roe versus Wade was overturned, which was bad law, should have been overturned, should have gone to the states. All of a sudden, and even RGB goes, it's bad law. It's bad law. Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden, Lindsey Graham, 3 weeks after, says we're going to work on a national ban on abortion. Like, what the fuck? Like, you just defeated the whole purpose of this. So, Cash, you and I share a belief on this, right?
What's your belief?
That in my own personal life, I'm pro-life, but from a legislative purpose, I think that there is grounds to allow the states to vote. And I just think we would do so much better to have a range of possibility if it's 4 months. I'm kind of in that 3 to 4 month thing, but just have it where the states allow their citizens to vote. I bet they would be shocked that some of the reddest of red states that would vote for Trump would actually vote pro-choice for people, because people just don't have the same belief as the ultra right, which again, I get where they're coming from. I respect it, but that is not the majority of not only the country. That's not even I don't think it's the majority of the party.
I'm pro-choice for, legislation, like how Emily said. But for cash, personally, yeah, I don't think abortions is the way to go. You know what I mean? I think that men should have a right. That's what I believe. I believe that if abortion is going to be a thing, right, then a man should have a say so. That's how I believe it should go, because it's too many times where a person is in a relationship with somebody, and then this person that you're with, you've been together and you might want a kid, and then she gets pregnant, and now she's like, 2 months in, and she's like, you know what, this ain't working for me. I don't want to be with you no more. I'm aborting the baby. And the dude's like, yo, what do you mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, I want the baby. I think the man should have a say so in the matter. And also, this might sound extreme to people, but if they're gonna do an outright ban, right? Let's say they want to ban abortions, then what they need to do is not ban it, like make it available. But if you go to get an abortion, there should be some kind of crime. That's the way that I feel about it. Because if you out here being irresponsible with your body, and you out here being a little slut, you know what I'm saying, and you end up pregnant, and this is like your third time, and you just using birth control, or not using your birth control, but using abortion as a form of birth control, there needs to be a penalty for that. Because it's like, if somebody's walking down the street and they murder a pregnant woman, that's double homicide. You know what I'm saying? Yet if the woman goes and just aborts her baby, it's no homicide. So how does that work? How do we have a law that says if you take the life of somebody that's pregnant, and she might have been on her way to go get an abortion when she got popped, it's still a double homicide? So how can we say that this is a double homicide, but then allow women to go and get an abortion? So if you're going to go and have an abortion, well, then you need a manslaughter charge. That's how I feel.
Well,
that's a whole bunch of women from you'll be a lot more responsible. When you go out and be a hoe, you'll make sure you got your little ring in you, or you got a shot going on.
That's never going to happen. Like, regulating human carnal behavior will never change. And what you're saying there, for it to be a legal thing, that is exactly what the Democrats are afraid of. So I really think that if the Republicans, I think that this is where I think in this issue the Republicans get it wrong for a multitude of reasons. I think they're unwilling to negotiate from a political perspective, even though the constituents, if you look at the comments, so we've got 3 people here that are in some ways pro-choice legislation. 3 out of 3 Trump voters are that way. If you're looking at the comments, there's a lot of people that are leaning towards like, it's not really like, So the fact that, and I've had this discussion many a times where I use religious reasoning behind it. We have a country where you technically can practice whatever religion you want to, and the belief that it is a life scientifically can be proven. There's a lot of different science that goes, the life starts at 6 weeks, the life starts at 10 weeks, the life starts when it's viable. So it's a sliding scale. So when it comes to what's that?
It's just a dumb argument, though, because they have plan Bs. If you don't want to, this is my thing. If you don't want to get pregnant, if they could give somebody a free abortion, right? You could go to Planned Parenthood and you get a free abortion. Why not have free plan Bs? That way, if a chick does something irresponsible, she could go and just get the plan B. You don't have to wait until, decide whether or not you're going to keep it. If you already on the fence of that, just take the plan B.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't understand. It's just so stupid.
Well, Plan B is not free, and also, again,
that's my point.
People just aren't smart, and I'll let you go in a second, Emily. Ultimately, my point is, this is literally, if the Republicans could get a better handle on the tone of the country on this issue, we would not lose an election. They were using this, and the thing is, they were using this last night, and the thing is, the Republicans are looking at weird data that says that most of America, they're looking at the issues, and economy is ahead of abortion. For the bulk of America, but for the independent vote, this is the most important issue above the border, above the economy. This is that trigger vote that affects 5 to 10% of the population. And if we just got this shit right and realized that, let's negotiate, let's say, hey, the nationwide ban is at 5 months or 6 months. You have plenty of time. And you know what? If there's a medical issue, I personally would rather be 3 or 4 months, but again, whatever. But if there's a medical issue, which in most states, that's a lie where they say that ectopic pregnancies, you can't get an abortion. They literally make that up because of a couple instances of bad doctors not understanding the law and people almost losing their life. If there's a lot of issues. Go ahead, Cash, and then Emily, I'm sorry.
I just got to fact check you right quick, Miss Mellis. You can use Plan B as many times as you need to within a menstrual cycle. You can. It's right here. I just seried it. Is that how you say it? I don't know. I'm not up with the lingo yet. Still getting it.
Well, and as a woman with the Plan B thing, I believe you really can take it as many times as you want. There might be, I don't think there's been a study on it. There might be some correlation with fertility issues later on if you've taken it too many times. But I mean, as far as it goes, it's going to be a lot less invasive than an abortion to just take the Plan B pill or the day after pill.
And also and this is something else I've learned, that a lot of American middle-aged men that are ultra pro-life don't realize all they think is that every abortion, and again, I'm not qualifying abortion as good. I want to be very clear, but we miss on the topic. Every like middle-aged white male thinks that abortion is always forceps going into the vaginal canal and ripping out a child's head. Plan B and an early abortion is almost the same thing. Again, I'm not condoning it. I want to be very clear, but there is a pill that flushes it out when it is the size of a pinky up to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks. That's horrible. What's that?
That's just horrible.
It's horrible. It is. But you know what? Morality is not something that you can legislate in my mind. And again,
you're right. If this is what I tell people, if God gave people the ability to have free will, who the fuck are you to stop it? You know what I'm saying? I don't think it should be promoted. Like, exactly. I don't think we should be promoting abortion, but it should be available, especially in certain instances. That's all I'm saying. It should be available if somebody gets, raped, or if somebody's family member did some weird shit, or, which is a very rare instance, that a woman might pass away from the birth. Like that, I understand. But everything else, if you just out here being a hoe, I said it before, don't be a hoe no more. That's all you got to do. Don't be a hoe no mo. You know what I'm saying?
But what about the dude that did it too?
Hey, that's on you. You open your leg. Let me tell you. I'm gonna tell everybody this right now. All right, I'm gonna tell everybody this right now. If you open your legs for a man and you don't make him wear protection, he's shooting the club up. Know that.
Shooting the club up.
Know that. He's shooting the club up. That's it. That's just how it's gonna go. Everybody ain't like me. See, I practiced safe sex when I wasn't with people that I was with. But when I got into a relationship, hey, I'm shooting the club up. You know what I'm saying? But there's other people out there, which is why STDs are so rampant. They don't care. They don't want to wear a condom. They try to convince you to not wear a condom, and they're going to shoot the club up and probably leave a little package in there for you after the baby comes out. You know what I'm saying? So strap up.
So ultimately what we're finding in here, we all are on the side of some version of pro-choice legislatively, and we're in this range. Either way, I think, this is my last question on this topic, because they misinformed the American people talking about how Trump wants to ban abortion. Like, these are just blatant lies. Like, Trump is the most pro-choice Republican. Like, honestly, DeSantis would have done. Like, he would have been somebody that I would be scared would do something a little bit more, because we haven't heard his full stance federally. Well, no, he did actually in the primaries, because, they had to primary. He did actually talk about the fact that it's a state issue. So at least there's that. But they're talking about the fact that Trump wants to ban it completely when he has repeatedly talked about rape, incest, choice of the heart. They're literally allowing him to spin his words. And then, of course, they throw the Project 2025 on there. But I will say this, and this is my last question on this topic. Do you think if the Republicans could change their messaging and change their narrative on abortion, that they would lose any of these close elections?
No.
2022, I think we lost 2022 because of this. And I just looked up, this is from time.com, recent as of 2022. So just what abortion is in other countries. I've traveled a lot. I've talked to a lot. I've been in a lot of countries where abortion's illegal. There's just a stronger sense of family culture there. So for a lot of people, it's very bizarre and kind of sick to kill a baby. So there's 24 countries in the world where abortion's completely illegal. Another 50 countries that are abortions legal only if the woman's health or the baby's health is at risk. And then there's 72 countries where abortion is allowed up to a certain gestational period, the most common being 12 weeks. Some, like the UK, I think is 24 weeks. But I mean, most of the countries that do allow it, they have 12 weeks, that's 4 months, which is kind of what we see, or no, 3 months?
12 weeks is 3 months.
3 months. So, I mean, I think we need to kind of take a look at the world and see what's kind of normal everywhere else. And a lot of people don't really think it's great. And I think it's just become this issue that's blown completely out of proportion. It's like, are people really willing to throw out every single other policy, the economy, the state of the border, inflation, the wars we're getting into on this one topic? I mean, I saw a really great post, and it was like, it's shocking how women are really, like, literally willing to walk into communism because they want to have the right to have an abortion. It's like, I bet it's marketing. The Democratic Party does a great job marketing it, but I just think it's something that shouldn't even really be a topic. It needs to be up to the states to decide. If you want to have an abortion and it's too late to have one in the state you're in, we have I don't want to try and, be economically privileged, but there could be programs or something to help you get to another state to have an abortion if it's too late. There are options out there, and I think it's something that's so blown out of proportion, really should not even be a factor in the presidential election.
Yeah, and they use it as their speaking points, and they're good at it. So a couple things that were misinformation. For some other real quick misses, and we'll wrap up pretty quick. I don't know if anybody saw Kamala's like childhood friend come and speak. That was the most awkward whatever. Like not the current friend. The current friend's like, she sings me happy birthday when she calls, like, blink twice if you're being paid to stand up on stage and talk about how great your BFF that you probably have not spoken to in so long. But no, there was the childhood friend that they showed a video interview of the childhood friend talking about, to tell you what kind of person Kamala Harris is one time there was a boy that he took in elementary school. He took something from me and he was going to break it. And she went up to him and she stood up for me and did all this stuff. She tells a story about the sandcastle or some shit. You're like, this is a weird story. Like, okay, so because she stood up for you in 4th grade, it means she should be president. Got it. And then they bring her up on stage. She is a bad speaker. And she tells the same story, which is on teleprompter. I'm like, they just played the video. And she goes, to tell you what kind of friend Kamala Harris is when I was a little girl. It's like, bitch, the whole crowd just saw this whole story play on the video. Like, how did somebody not go, oh, we're going to have her on teleprompter tell the exact same really poorly delivered story that we did? Those were one of the moments where I was like, And then you had the guy that was, so that, of course, the Republicans had the Teamsters, more polished speaker, and then they had the United Auto Workers come out who had ripped his jacket off and said, Donald Trump is a scab. It's like,
Oh, we're copying Hulk Hogan here because they're just copying literally everything that,
Yeah. Which therefore reminded me about the bloodbath comment that Biden made also.
If they could have, they would have got The Rock to come out, but they couldn't get him. He ain't going for that this time around. But shout out to The Rock. I know everybody been saying bad things about The Rock, but let me tell you something. The Rock, that's my dog, man. You know why? Because he'll whoop your Rudy Poo candy ass all over this arena. That's why.
Well,
okay?
Did you guys watch when The Rock was on Joe Rogan and he said someone from the DNC called and asked him if he'd run for president? I'm like, I'd take The Rock over Kamala. I'm like, I
ain't gonna lie, I'd vote for The Rock.
That is literally, though, that they would run with the whole movie Idiocracy, where it's literally a WWE like legend that's now going like, let's run the country. Can you smell what America is cooking? By the way, Emily, if you don't know, Cash is a huge WWE fan. Like,
okay.
He sleeps and breathes it.
Bloodline, baby. Roman Reigns is back, in case anybody didn't know. Roman Reigns is back, even though they just did him dirty. You know what I'm saying? He's back. And you know what that means? The original tribal chief is coming back for that title, baby.
Yeah, Emily, this is real life. That's a 35-year-old man right there. So some of the things he talked about, they talked about to really quick dispel the myths, and then Cash really quick cover what's going on outside, because it looks like there is some stuff happening. People are commenting on it, but talked a lot about just what's that?
It ain't gonna pop off for about another hour.
Yeah.
There might be some stuff happening right now, but it's supposed to. If my source is right, it's supposed to be some shit popping off about 9 o'clock, 8:30.
Have we talked to Lenny? Lenny 23. Have you talked to him at all?
Mm-hmm. I got him literally from the hood that's telling me this.
Oh, hood connection. Yes.
Yeah.
Scoundrel of the night. So bloodbath was a comment that was made because he said Donald Trump said that it would be a bloodbath. Again, taking him out of context, misproven, not proven, said it was fact-checked. This is when Donald Trump said if he's not back in, and the auto industry would be a bloodbath. But they're saying he was using it as there would be a bloodbath in the streets. Again, total lie. Talked about the biggest killer of children being guns. Lie. Big, huge lie. Unless you're including. People are the biggest killer. What's that?
People are the biggest killer.
What do you mean?
Guns can't kill people. Only people could kill people.
Well, I get what you're saying, but that's not the actual statistic. So 1 out of the ages 1 to 14, the biggest killer is disease, cancer, automobile accidents. But if you include in that statistic that he uses, the 15 to the 19-year-old group makes up almost all of the gun deaths. And it just so happens to be mostly done with illegal firearms in bad areas. It's a skewed statistic. Then he also brought up the fact that the border crossings are at the lowest point they've been, and even I think they said half of when Donald Trump left office.
Yeah, because everybody fucking came over already. There's no one left. There's nobody left. They're here.
Statistics actually point against that. Go ahead, Emily.
Here's my favorite thing about Venezuela saying we have the lowest crime. Our prisons are empty. Where have they all come? We had the 11-year-old Venezuelan migrant punching people on the face in the subway. Did you see that picture of the 3 cops with the 11-year-old Venezuelan migrant?
No.
It's like, wait, I thought all these people were just so friendly and kind. The Venezuelan gangs just took over an apartment complex in Colorado. They're stealing phones. They've got this thing for the phones. It's like, well, all the criminals are here. That's why all these countries have the lowest prison numbers in years, because they all came here.
Because they're not sending us their best. They're not sending us
their worst.
brightest. They're sending us their criminals. They're sending us their murderers. They're sending us the rapists. That's who there's their MS-13 gang member. One of the worst gangs. One of the worst.
Then talked about, so by the way, the border statistic is because we last used June. When June, it was double Trump's final month, one of his worst months, I believe, actually. It was 40,000 for Trump, 93,000 for June in the Biden administration. July, 106,000. So again, there is no statistic that corroborates it whatsoever. What was some of the other things? If you guys have comments, if you're wondering if there was any lies, if it was a true statement, put in the comments and we'll kind of go through a couple things. And then of course the good people on both sides, which nobody will fucking tell him that is not an accurate statement. It wasn't even 2 minutes later in the speech when Trump said there were good people on both sides, except for the neo-Nazis. I condemn and the white supremacists. I condemn those. It was the next line, and they've cut it out. Go ahead, Cash.
No, I was just. What was this comment about? That might explain why Champagne isn't feeling well.
That was back when you were talking about you firing your weapon. You spraying the.
I'm trying to
shoot up the club or whatever he said.
No, if that was the case, she'd be asleep. You know what I'm saying? That's what I got that Lunesta. You feel me? She'd have been out like a light, guaranteed.
That is a funny dick reference. What do you call your dick, Lunesta? Anyway,
well, actually, I call him King Dave, but that's another story. King David, yeah, it's King David.
That's the whitest name I've ever heard of for a black man's penis. Right. We are off the rails. All right. Any other statements? Let's see. The border bill referring to Trump ordered Republican to veto. What about the border? Oh, so that's a great when he talks about Trump, he killed the biggest bill, the best bipartisan border bill in history, and he's yelling about it. Trump said, no, let's not. I mean, the fact that he still has that kind of power is impressive. That border bill had billions more going to Ukraine. It was
65.
a shit bill.
65 billion more.
65 billion, and that bill was no different, plus the additions going to other countries, no different than the bill that the Republicans brought up a year and a half ago. It was literally an addendum that added unnecessary spending, but it was the first time that both sides had a play in it because they took the Republican playbook and then they added a bunch of bullshit spending. This is not
65 billion.
I believe that's the number, 65 billion. And then it was something like, it was anywhere between 10 to 20 billion, I believe, to Israel also in that bill. So it's like, it wasn't a border bill. It was a military spending bill that just was like, the Democrats were like, let's throw the Republicans a bone and throw in a little border security. Yeah,
not to mention that there was some gender. I mean, 36 million is really nothing in the grand scheme of things. But why the fuck is there gender studies in other countries even in the border bill?
Don't get me started. They do this shit all the time. They was doing it back when Joe first got in. They were trying to put some bills through that had gender studies, 5 million and 500 million for Pakistan gender studies. I'll never forget it. I was like, what the fuck?
What about this report? And I didn't confirm it, but that we're still sending something between 20 million, 60 million to the Taliban weekly.
Well, I mean, we gave them $83 billion
and they have their little military parade.
What people don't realize is we give money to everybody. Like everybody. Like we give money. Would I doubt that we give money to the Taliban? No, we give money to Israel. We give money to pretty much every foreign nation across the globe.
Every country I've been in receives money from the U.S.
Yeah, Russia, Ukraine, we give money everywhere. The great statement was he talked about 500,000, the greatest infrastructure bill in American history. 500,000 charging stations he claimed had to do with him, which there is about 500,000 charging stations in the country. 7.5. Say it again, Emily.
Elon. Thank you, Elon.
Yeah, thank you, Elon. Thank you, like other companies, power companies. Those terrible gas companies actually built a lot of these, which is the only reason the electric car didn't get killed this time like it did in the early 90s, because they actually decided a way to actually profit off of it. Cool. The actual number, so they had a $15 billion earmark for charging stations. They have allocated $7.5 billion, and they have completed in the 3 years since the bill, seven charging stations. So therefore, at this rate, we are at $1 billion a charging station because they cannot cut through the red tape of the Biden administration and the state laws and all of these things. They cannot get shit done. So he talked about how many charging stations, and none of it happened. Go ahead.
I love you guys, right? But I do got to get off. I do. I'm sorry. I don't mean to have to get off, but my son's here. I got to cut his hair. By the way, shout out to Caden, my A honor roll student all the time. He got his first job, so I got to cut his hair so he can look good. He's here. He's waiting, and he's got a long drive back to the house.
2 minutes, Cash. Give everybody what's going to happen outside. What's happening outside the DNC? Just give us 2 minutes, and that'll be how you wrap. It's
going to get crazy. From what I hear, I'll be covering that as soon as I'm done with this haircut. I'll be on with a live stream so you guys can tune in and see what's going on out there. So apparently, they're saying that it was supposed to go up. There's supposed to be some fights amongst the protesters, maybe even if I'm probably the police too, because But yeah, they plotting on protesters versus protesters. Pretty crazy. So if you are a pro-Israel protester, if I was you, I'd get the hell up out of Dodge tonight. Be careful.
Stay safe, everybody.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Go cut his hair.
All right. I'll see y'all later. Emily, always a pleasure. Russo, fuck yourself. Peace out, guys.
Hey, check your message later, Cash, because I got to find out what I got to do for that letter. Bye.
I got you, my bro.
All right. Bye. Any other lies that you could think of, Emily?
Okay, so we covered. Oh, well, he kept going on about that Trump's lying about the violent crime in this country.
Another good one. Yep.
Yeah. And to me, it's like anybody that wants to believe that is just, I mean, maybe they haven't inside their house. I mean, okay, so we live in Stephenville, Texas, but we travel around the country. Anybody that wants to believe that the violent crime is not risen. I don't know the statistic, but he said that the violent crime raised 30% while Trump was in office, or the murder rate.
No, so yeah, they talk about the rate. That I don't think he might have said that. The rate rose because they're able to look at the data during the crime-riddled summer of love in 2020. So there was a spike but the funny thing is, beginning of COVID, they're doing a month by month. So did the crime go up during Trump across the board? No, it did not. Petty crime did. So here's the funny thing about statistics with crime. When you let people off for petty crimes, it doesn't go into the system. And then on top of it, as of 2023, there is hundreds of precincts that no longer go into the federal data. That's a problem. So, of course, the national numbers are going to look a little bit lower. But if you look at the actual city-to-city comparisons that actually do it, violent crime and murder has gone up by anywhere from 10 to 20%, depending on the area. Some cases, 25%. That's a pretty drastic increase. But on a federal level, there's no way to report it. The same with the fact that we don't see any data of black on black, white on white, black on Asian. We don't see any of that crime since 2018. The FBI, since it does not fit the narrative, no longer reports that on a national level. So the races have been taken away on that. And then when it comes to the violent crime, you've got a lot of DAs not prosecuting. You've got a lot of police stations. You're not allowed to chase people anymore. You've got all of these different rules in place that, so if I were to ask somebody about, I got mugged or I got the shit beat out of me, did you file a police report? They're like, yeah, we called the police, but they weren't going to file a police report. That's why statistics are lower. So it's hard to judge. So the only way right now, since they're clearly skewing statistics, the FBI is in charge of these statistics and they're having to do this. The only way to look at it is, hey, do you know anybody that's had violent crime against them? Yep. All right. It's anecdotal, but I think we all know that it's pretty obvious that we do not live in as safe of a country as we did 4 years ago.
No, I think it was even on the Elon and Trump X space. Elon's mom lives in New York, and she's had 3 of her friends be assaulted or robbed in New York. And he said, did any of them report it? And she said, no, none of them did, because the police won't do anything. They don't. But, for whatever reason, they don't do anything. So nobody is reporting it.
Yeah. So again, that's another incorrect statement. They're able to find statistics that made it a little bit more of a match for them. Inflation's another one. They said he kept saying inflation's down. Inflation is down compared to the way it was in the beginning of his presidency, but it's not down. The most by any markers, it's 20% up during this administration. It rose 6% during Trump. Again, COVID was not necessarily Biden's fault. So I can say that some of that early inflation could be blamed on both, but they have not found a way to get it under control. And I can tell you, giving a shitload of money to Ukraine and other countries and even Israel, probably not going to fix our own inflation program. Gender studies in Pakistan, probably not fixing. Making sure that the wells, the Witchamahoosies for the oil pumping is closed down, which, by the way, they've opened up recently because we're at an oil shortage. And honestly, as a Republican, I tell other Republicans to stop talking about gas prices in your posts, about how bad gas prices are not that bad in the grand scheme of things. I can tell you that I remember when I lived in Milwaukee in 2007, one time I was paying over $2.20. That was 16 years ago, $1 up. We've got a lot of other things we could talk about. And last thing I'll say, that 20% of inflation is not comparable to the Jimmy Carter era of inflation of 20%, because back then they included things that we've taken out, CPIs that we've taken out of our current situation, which include was it mortgage rates? They take out mortgage, house rent. Like, they took out a lot of the indicators that really would put our inflation closer to 35-ish% or 40. So.
Well, and I will say one thing Biden did say that was truthful. He said, we have the strongest economy in the world, which I believe actually is true. I was just having this discussion with my British and Australian friends, and they were kind of like, well, why are you complaining? You have the best economy in the world. I'm like, just because all of you guys are so much worse, your economies are so much worse, doesn't mean ours isn't bad. So, I mean, you can say we have the best economy in the world. To me, it's kind of like we're on the Titanic. The people that are already dead in the water are worse off, but the ones hanging to the scrap of metal are not exactly in a great position either. So just because compared to everybody else, we have the best economy. I don't know if that's actually true, because the Russian economy is doing pretty well. The Chinese economy appears to be doing pretty well. So I don't know if we're truly the strongest economy in the world, but I mean, I know we're better than a lot of the European economies, but we're still not in a good position.
No, and there is that argument. People will go like, the whole world had an economic downturn. Well, yeah, but we're the leader of the free world. We're supposed to be better. We should rebound faster. We should have better things in place. And the long-term indicators, when you look at what's happening with BRICS and other foreign nations, and all the fact that our dollar is losing value on a global scale and partnerships are being made because of weak geopolitical relationships, I think we have to start looking at the long-term ramifications. And yeah, we may be the strongest economy in the world, but just Blockbuster was also the best place to buy videos. The only place. There is a time where things can start to shift, and if we don't do something and we just sit on we're the strongest economy in the world. That's what we will become, the Blockbuster of geopolitical scheme.
There's never been a time in recent history where more people are considering going off the dollar standard. I think we're at what, $1 trillion in debt every 3 months. I mean, everybody's like, should we go to the Chinese yen? I mean, you know, the Russia, what do they call it? Is it BRICS? Yeah, BRICS. I mean, they're talking a lot like, let's not use the dollar anymore. Even some of our countries that are allies are kind of, you know, a little bit of the rumblings like, should we really continue to use the dollar standard? And we've pushed them into this because a lot of people don't want to get sanctioned if they do something to upset the U.S. And so I think a lot of the sanctions we've done.
That's the bonus of paying every nation across the world. Like that's the one bonus of it, is we still have some control. But there's going to be a point where somebody like China has more power because they've got more. During COVID, if people don't think China had a hand in planning all of it, along with our country, you look at the fact that China bought up a bunch of third world countries' debts to the point where they could not pay them back. China right now owns countries, but I mean, like literally owns them right now.
They're going in, they're improving the infrastructure, they're building roads, they're building schools, they're building a brand new port in, it's one of those Southeast Asian countries, but they said, we can't pay you back. That's okay. You don't need to pay us back. I mean, honestly, they're making a lot more friends because we come to these countries and start wars. They're coming to the country and contributing. So, I mean, they do appear to be friendlier than us. I think a lot of countries really do like China because they're kind of doing the strength through positivity. And yeah, I think we're kind of getting in a bad position here globally.
He also said 800,000 new manufacturing jobs, which it's 800,000 manufacturing jobs came back. They love doing the whole, made up these jobs. Yeah. He also made a reference to HBCUs. Forgot about that. He literally took the $15 billion thing that Trump put in line. He goes, we gave $15 billion permanently to HBCUs. Trump did that, dipshit. I thought that was fascinating. Like, hello. Just some stuff on, I mean, there were so many lies. And again, I think he was the perfect pawn because now that he's not running for president, he can't get called on the lies and people are just going to think cognitive dissonance that's what happened. I know. The last thing I want to say about I saw this comment about Newsom. I keep seeing that clip of when they talked about when they cleaned up, and I thought Newsom was going to be the Democrat nominee. They keep showing the clip, and I think that this is his Howard Dean moment when they asked him about when they cleaned up the streets for Xi Jinping or whatever, and it's like, and he goes, "Well, I mean, if you look at what we did, I mean, it's true." Because it's true. Like that is. Have you seen that clip of him saying that, Emily?
I'll have to watch that.
Oh my God! I wonder if I could find it real quick before we wrap up. Gavin Newsom.
Didn't they do the same thing in Was it Portland before they had that MLB All-Star game? They just cleaned everything up just like that, and then back on the street. I mean, is that not just go to show how much the leaders hate those people? They could fix the problem basically overnight, and they don't.
Oh yeah. All right, hold on. I think I found it. He's cleaning up San Francisco. That's a long clip. Yeah, I think this might be it. So funny. Oh yeah, here it is. Okay, so good. And I'm like, this is his Howard Dean moment. This is what got him. Like, this is why, because this would be played over and over again, of him placating, a Chinese communist leader, and then just looking like an idiot. Share screen, and Newsom admits San Francisco cleaning up. All right, here we go. Come on. There we go.
Folks say, oh, they're just cleaning up this place because all those fancy leaders are coming into town. That's true because it's true. But it's also true for months and months and months prior to APEC, we've been having different conversations. And we've raised the bar of expectation between the city, the county, and the city coming into town. That's true because it's true. But it's
They're laughing in the background. They're like,
I know.
Oh God. And we cleaned it up, and then we just let everybody back on the streets, and now they're running I can't remember what major media site was running the articles. Don't be alarmed if you see someone slumped over standing asleep. They're just on fentanyl. It's like, oh, okay, that's fine then.
It's true. It's true. Anyways, that's all I've got. I mean, there was a lot of lies. I was double checking some of the conversations I had last night with Matt Locke. We were talking about all the ridiculous. Yeah, that was it. There's just so many bad. I mean, the speakers just bugged me last night. There was just so much hate, and they underneath their breath, they talk about the fact like we're trying to we want a wide umbrella. We want to bring everybody together, and then 3 sentences later, be like, but those people that are still supporting a convicted felon.
Yeah.
So
that's what I took away from everything I watched. It was the most divisive, just hateful rhetoric. I mean, there is no comparison to anybody that watched the RNC and is watching the DNC. It's anger, and I literally was feeling physically ill watching this. I was just like, I can't even stand to listen to this. So,
and again, it's because we disagree. But if you remember, after the Republican convention, even the Democrat media was like, they did a good job. I mean, they said some good things, because there wasn't. I mean, is there still misinformation? Always. But there wasn't a lot of misinformation. It was platform. It was how great America is, how great it could be even better. It's, all these and it literally did not, it called out Democrat politicians. It did not call out Democrat constituents.
Exactly.
It's just such a difference. It's ugly. And the last thing I'll say on all this is I remember back to my Democrat days. And I remember, and it's like, I used to think that I was so in the right and so I respect people and Republicans are dumb. I remember, and this stuck with me, because I'm like, I wonder when the party shifted. And honestly, I think it happened before this, because this is around 2000, and I really hated George Bush. I still hate George Bush. But I remember seeing a girl's bumper sticker say W or George W. Bush, and I'm like, ugh, what an idiot. And I immediately loathed her for the person that she was voting for. So that it started a long time ago, where the Democrat Party, because once I became a Republican, I didn't give a shit if you were voting to the left. I'll talk to you about it, and I'll have a discussion. But I viscerally judged that girl for having that bumper sticker. And that was in 2002, maybe 2003. And that was even after 9/11, when I think he did a halfway decent job. Granted, I think he was in on it. Different story, different day. But I had more positive sentiment, but I still was like, oh, you're still going to vote for that? I'm like, it's bad. It's a breeding ground for hate, the Democrat Party. And yet they deflect it all to us.
And I've just in my own life, same exact, they hear, oh, I'm a Trump supporter. Oh God, it's just so, you're stupid. I hate you, this and that. If I hear somebody's a Kamala supporter, I'd kind of be like, oh, interesting. But I'd be like, tell me why. I don't hate you. To me, a person's not their policies or who they vote for. A person's their character and how they live their life. Because the majority of us in our day-to-day lives, it's not like we're just Kamala supporters or Trump supporters. It's like we're Americans. I love all Americans, regardless of who they're voting for. And I feel like the Republican Party is doing a pretty good job of showcasing that, whereas the Democratic Party is just very much like MAGA Republicans are, what did he say? The biggest threat to democracy. That's their platform right now.
Yeah. And the one thing we keep forgetting is they mentioned Project 2025 a million times. Trump has made it so clear he knew nothing about Project 2025.
No affiliation. He came out immediately and said it. And I'm shocked that they continue to say it, but I think because they can.
They know they can.
Yeah, no one's going to fact check that.
There was I screenshotted one thing that I think is important. Getting a lot of messages about RFK, but it's all the same thing that we talked about.
Yeah, nothing new. Yeah.
So the legacy media's election interference. It was about ABC, CBS, and NBC. This is not CNN. This is not MSN. This is legacy media. Harris coverage. This is rated by MRC Media Center Research Analysis, and that is a mostly independent company. Harris's coverage has been 84% positive. Trump's coverage 89% negative. And that's on legacy media. That's not CNN. That's a problem.
Well, did you see the interview earlier today of the CNN reporters discussing that and going, how are we still tied? How are we still tied with we've been running positive news now for a month and we're still really close. It's like, did you just completely admit on live air that we've been manipulating the media and we're shocked that she isn't beating him now? It's like, yeah. But I mean, if you look at the viewership of a lot of like the CNN and MSNBC, their viewership is still lower combined than the viewership of Fox News.
Right.
And I think even the viewership of Fox News, it's a certain demographic. It's going to be an older generation. I don't think a lot of people in their 20s, 30s, early 40s are sitting down and turning on the news and getting their information that way. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Yeah. Well, that's all I got. Emily, where can people find you?
You can find me on X. I'm needing to get back up and kind of start posting on there. It's just at Emily Mangione on X, and I'm on Instagram as well, Emily Mangione 23.
Got it. So it's Emily Mangione without the 23 on X?
Yes. Yep.
Got it.
Just Emily Mangione on X and throw a 23 on there for Instagram.
And Emily's probably we'll have her on almost whenever she wants to come on. She'll probably come on. That'll make a perfect little fourth. Next week, we do suppose theoretically Carl Covington's going to be on. And that's the funny thing. It's an exchange of discussion and conversation that we are way more willing to have. And I heard somebody talking about it on some show. Somebody made me listen to something. A woman that refuses to ever come on the show, that just always puts nonsensical comments that she thinks are brilliant. And I'm like, just come on, let's have it. I will have a peaceful talk. Every time we've had a leftist on the show, it is much more peaceful than in text, because in text, it's just frustrating. Yeah. So Carl said that he would come on this week, but I was like, let's wait till we get all the DNC speaking points and we'll have a full conversation. So Carl will most likely be here next week. And I've invited plenty of people. The left does, and the reason I say this is the interview that I saw talked about the fact that there's not an equal exchange of information from the Republican side. They're not willing to have a conversation, which I find hilarious because I don't know a single conservative commentator, pundit, whether they're my size or 10 times bigger, that isn't just begging Democrats to come on a platform and have an actual conversation. So the door is always open. Yes, I'm in an echo chamber. Most of the people, 99% of the people in the comments are conservative, but there's a reason for that, because nobody will listen to something on the opposite side. I will invite, and I've said this, I'll take Cash off, Casey off, Emily won't be here. It's just me. You could bring 17 of your friends and we'll have an honest conversation. That's it. But they won't have it. So anyways, Emily, thanks for coming on the show.
We had a pleasure as always.
Pleasure was mine. We've had 500 people watching. So guys, if you like our gear, go to Truth Will Set You Free. Sorry, not Truth Will Set You Free. Where's the awakenotwokestore.com. Use Truth for 20% off. You guys know all the other stuff we do. We put it up on every dang show. The water, whatever. If you want to know about if you want to support us, send us a message. We've got a million different codes and affiliates that we can do. It's time for me to get some dinner. Daddy's hungry, and watch the rest of the shit show. I think tonight we said was Obama, I believe.
Obama tonight, and Bill Clinton tomorrow.
I think that's what it is. We'll see. We'll see. I'm sure, you know. All right. God bless, guys. Take it easy. Have a great night.